Got it. Are we on?
Yep.
Excellent. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Thank you for coming on the show. It's good to see that everybody's here. Fred, my partner, and myself, we're live and running. I hope everybody can hear us. If you have a good connection, please let us know. If not, we will work on it a little bit more. I want to thank William Statzek and Michael Kellner and Jack Overfield for they're going to be attending the show after we do a little bit of information for you. And we have over 92,000 subscribers. That is awesome. Thank you so much for entertaining us with your ability to watch our show. Fred, what do you think about 92,000 subscribers, man?
We've been expanding nicely. Now, if we can just figure out how to take it higher, it'll be wonderful.
Yeah.
But we always have lots of things to talk about in aviation. There's always something new happening week to week.
That is so true. Hey, I want to thank my cousin Rick and and my best pal Ken Forbes with his amazing wife Amanda for being on the show, watching us. Hi, everybody. It's good that you're looking at us, and I'm glad that you're able to attend. Well, let's bring up Newark Airport again. Seems to be that Newark had another problem this week. They had 45 minutes of downtime, delay time, because they had to shut down. Now, that's a lot of time if you're got a lot of departures waiting to go to Newark. The system just seems to back up, and it kind of snowballs and goes up exponentially. What I get out of a report that I heard from WABC, there was an air traffic controller retired. Colin Scoggins, he said that the job can be pretty stressful, which of course it is. But I do remember after August 3rd, we were working 6 days a week, and I was working that for at least 7 years before I left Chicago to come down to Houston Center. Overtime every week. There were operational errors that would not. It would definitely compare to or be extremely problematic to somebody that doesn't have the caliber of the controllers back then. It seems that we have controllers, about 6 of them, that had to go out on, what is that leave called?
Trauma.
Trauma leave. Trauma leave. That's just basically almost unheard of in our field. It seems to me that's more window dressing for another agenda rather than actually working the position. It's a high-stress position. When you raise your hand to sign up as an air traffic controller, you know that the position has pressure. You go through school, you're put under certain circumstances, or maybe they don't do that anymore, but they do test your mettle, so to speak, before you're a controller. So this individual is retired. He says the FAA is trying to rush and update the computer system. I don't think it's going to be a rush. I saw the Administrator Duffy at a meeting just this week, and he was talking about how they need these controllers to continually work the system, keeping it safe while the new programs are going to be upgraded and installed. In fact, I know that they probably don't even have the software yet, but I'm sure that they've already been working on it. There's been so many changes in the FAA. ADSB is helping aircraft to avoid other aircraft. It's giving resolution for things like possible operational errors when both systems are turned on, of course. If they're not turned on, well, you can't engage and let the pilot know that there's a problem out there. But having 6 controllers go out on traumatic leave is really unheard of. I just hope that they get a system, like I said before, right? Something that's sustainable, that's upgradable, that's ergonomically correct, and intuitive. Nothing where it really distracts the controller to have to hit all these different keys and type in all this information. I'm sure AI will come into play on that, right, Fred?
Voice recognition is very important, and it's got to be perfect. You can't say a word and have the computer read something else. That gets pretty chaotic if the computer sends out the wrong clearance. Yeah, can give you some real definition, and you have to. The public has to understand this isn't an overnight process. This is going to take years and money. I would say 4 to 6 years would probably be quick. And they're estimating $25 billion. Considering it's a government contract, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go higher.
Yeah, and therein lies the problem, okay? Fred and I both know how these operations work. It's kind of like when you build a house. I don't know if there's many people out there that have built a house, but you look at the plans, you go through it with the builder, and you pick out all of your accessories and where you want your lights fixed and how many more lights you want, and you sign the contract saying that all of this is going to come down to this number. But then as you're going through the house, you see these changes, and every time you make a change, they're going to nail you for 50 or $100 or $500, whatever it costs. It's just going to be part of the process. So when the government hires or takes the bid from the lowest bidder, you can expect that number to increase dramatically, because we're going to look at it and we're going to go, no, we don't want that, we don't want this, where's the redundancy, why is this set up like that? Instead, the contract should go to the best product that is being offered out there, not the lowest bidder. And those products, who is ever designing them, who is ever providing them, they should not come from an organization that anybody has any skin in the game. In other words, they're not investors, they're not politicians, they're not family members. There can't be any inside information that is available to be delivered to any family members within earshot of, say, a dining room table, quote unquote, right? These things are what drive the prices up, and other people pick those corporations, I'm just saying, so that they get a little padding back in their pocket. So
We don't want any politicians finding out about it before
yes,
decisions are made.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, somebody's put a nice amount of stock in their pocket at a lower price.
good. Whoever the co-tar on the project really needs to make sure that they vet out these companies and who is associated with them. And it doesn't have to be just one person. There should be several people, and I'm not trying to say get a meeting together, because, you know, if you want to get nothing done, you call a meeting, right? In the government, I really believe that, because people come in there that really don't have any skin in that game either. But you need to have your qualified controllers, qualified managers that have worked sectors, that have been at the busy sectors, that know how the ergonomics of this system that we have works and knows what the flaws are versus what they want, what they're looking for to make it more efficient, more safe, more productive. How to get more aircraft in the sky safely, no compromise to efficiency. So, Fred?
I'd like to say that, with the development of these systems, it takes real-time testing back through the years when we've implemented conflict alert. We had to test it in the skies, having airplanes fly at airplanes to see if it would work correctly, and develop from there. We now have a very sophisticated TCAS system that can give a cockpit alerts that are accurate, but it took a lot of testing to bring that about. You can't just take it off the drawing board and say plug it in. You got to fly it and work it, and have controllers' opinions on what it's doing for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's move on. Fred had given me an interesting article on email the other day. It comes from Reuters. It's about NASA, and they're talking about the rover on the surface of Mars has provided fresh evidence of the planet's warmer and wetter ancient, that's his story, past. And it bolstered substantial bodies of water and potentially harbored life. Now, isn't that interesting? So when we do go to Mars in a couple of years, thank you, Elon Musk, we might find that there was a maybe civilization up there. It's just kind of interesting and food for thought. It would be nice to know if there are other people or beings that were here before us. Don't you think, Fred?
You know, we're learning more and more about that planet and all the minerals and aspects of it that give us more reason to want to explore it and find out more about it. And Mr. Musk has some pretty extensive directions to go. He was saying being on Mars next year. I think that's a little too soon. I think he agrees. But in the next probably three years,
No.
we could see
When I introduce
somebody
that cut over.
somebody
When I introduce.
coming landing or getting off a ladder, putting their feet on Mars. One of the things I found fascinating, what SpaceX and Elon Musk were saying, the first feet to step on Mars won't be human, they'll be robots. Maybe they look like a strong, strapping man, but it'll be a computerized robot that'll come down, step down on the planet, and start to give details as to what they're finding from the soil, the consistency. That's why these vehicles land with the legs they have on it. Because then, well, when it first landed on the moon, they weren't sure if it would sink in or wobble. And from that, we've learned more. And the Mars vehicles will be sturdier.
Absolutely. I think that it's fascinating, and I hope that I'm around to see that. These, what do I want to say? The progress that we have made in space is just so fascinating. I can't fathom where we're going to be in another 20, 30 years. So let's just hope that Elon or whoever's making these inroads into space does it safely, but quickly too, so I can see this stuff happen.
You talk about progress. Look at how far we've come with aircraft and aviation. You go from aviation higher and higher till you get to the point of space.
Yeah.
In the background there, we're going to be visiting these gentlemen that have been working on this B-17 for the
Absolutely.
last 40 years.
Yes, we are. And with that said, let's introduce Michael Kellner and William Stanzak. Am I saying that right, guys?
Yes.
Perfect. And we also have with us Jack Overfield, and he's here because we're working on some kind of a documentary that's going to talk about Operation Chow Drop that happened at the end of, did I say that right, Jack? Chowhound?
Chowhound.
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 That happened at the end of World War II, and the food that was delivered by B-17s, he knows a former pilot from one of those, and it's going to be a very interesting documentary. So look forward to seeing that. So thank you for coming on the show, Michael. Love to hear how you got involved in this and where you are now. We're going to put up a picture of your aircraft that was sitting at the farmhouse, and you could maybe describe about what we're looking at there.
I think initially he found it in a scrapyard.
In Maine. Go ahead.
Yes, it is. I had first got the interest all the way back in high school. I had a teacher that was claimed she was one of those WASPs, women service pilot, and was talking about ferrying the airplanes around.
Very
And so she mentioned the B-17 a lot. And about that time, 12 O'Clock High had reruns on TV, and I started watching that, and I've been hooked with the B-17 ever since.
Then I remember 12 O'Clock High. That was an
Yeah.
amazing. I couldn't wait to watch the next episode of that.
You know.
So tell us
And,
more. Tell us more, Mike.
Well, then I decided to try to get my pilot's license because I thought it'd be really cool to be able to fly one. And so I started training at 16, and I got my license by the time I was 18. And then I went out to let somebody fly their B-17, and they all pretty much laughed at me.
Did you have a multi-engine by then?
No, I
Oh.
didn't. And I'm sure they got a good chuckle. I remember sending a resume in. I probably had all but 200 hours, and I sent I think it was in Montana. They were flying B-17s as sprayers and Borate bombers fighting forest fires, but I never heard anything back.
Wow.
So then I decided, well, I'll just have to find one of my own, and that started the search to find one. And my brother and I went to an auction in Ohio, thinking that we were going to buy a Ryan PT-22 in the interim. But while we were there, there was a gentleman that was making a computer list of parts you're looking for and parts and projects you had for sale. And I said, well, I'd like to get a B-17. And about 2 weeks later, he called me and said, I know where one is. It's up in the woods of Maine. And so my first reaction is, yeah, sure, send me pictures. And behold, I got pictures. And so I bought it. And then it took about 5 years to get all the parts out of there. We had to cut in roads because the history of it was the family had a junkyard, mostly an auto junkyard. But after the war, they bought, I think we ended up figuring about 38 airplanes. And he gave them to his kids to cut up for scrap metal, and that was kind of giving them an allowance. They said that they had chopped up a lot of them, and the B-17 was the only B-17 they had, the biggest airplane. And so they waited till last, and they end up getting interested in cars and girls, and they said it got done. So that's how we found it. It had been chopped up to some degree, but luckily never hauled off and melted down. And that was the state we found it in.
Well, we've already seen a couple of pictures. We saw the aircraft lying along the barn. We saw the aircraft somewhat set up on a flatbed with a trailer and a trailer. And then we see another section, it was facing into the woods with a smaller, it looked like a wing section on one side. So how was it trying to bring that to where you were along the roads? Did you have to get special permits, or what was the fear in traveling with that huge? I think this thing must be, let's see, you got 2 sets of wheels under, gosh, I don't know how much that must have weighed. You got the empennage, you got the back end fuselage. I see 2 wings on top of a truck. Who drove that?
A friend of mine from high school named Don Fernstrom. He was in the towing business, and so he said he'll go out and help us pick it up. So what we did is we bought a house trailer, took the house off of it. I think we welded another 8 or 10 feet onto it, and we used that thinking we were going to get all the parts. So we did a run up there to see what we were getting into, and we spent, I think, around a week, because we had to actually cut roads in there to get it, because the junkyard had closed in the 50s. So everything in there was 50s and older. And once we got up to it, we started loading parts and hauling them back. And then the remaining 2 inboard wings, which I hope there's a picture of it with a tree growing around it.
Yes, we have that. We'll have to slide through those pictures to see it.
Those were the biggest problem, and they needed permits. And so we looked at everything, railroad. We even had the Army said they could lift them with a helicopter, but there was no guarantees. If anything went wrong, they would drop them. And so in the end, we decided just to hire a company that exclusively
Malcolm,
moved airplanes.
Could you bring up the
and
wings that are on the ground?
was able to get all the permits and all that to go through, I think, 13 states.
Oh, man. Wow, I got to tell you, you had a friend that would drive that. So was he from Texas? Was he one of those, hey, y'all, watch me do this?
It was from McHenry, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
That's where I grew up.
Oh, man. Well, that's amazing. He truly must have been a fantastic friend. He's probably dying to see this aircraft come back to life. We're showing the picture of one of those wings with, looks like a bunch of fall leaves on it. There's just, it's just a mess.
And heavy rust.
Yeah, heavy rust all around the nacelles. Boy, oh boy, what was it like trying to get that out of there? How did you get that out? How much does it weigh?
Those are about 4,000 pounds apiece.
Wow.
Everything else we loaded by hand. We had a block and tackle, and we used the trees to lift stuff. We actually backed to get the forward fuselage. We raised the front of it and then backed the trailer under it, strapped 2x12s to the tires or to the airplane, and then lowered it on the tires. And as you pulled the tires forward, it rolled the airplane up onto the trailer.
Wow.
So it was kind of a lot of ingenuity because we didn't have the equipment, and it was pretty much out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, we're looking forward to the book on how to move large obstacles. That'll be very interesting to see.
Michael, what's the status on the engines? Have you been able to turn them over, start them?
Can you
or-
bring one of those up, Malcolm?
Yeah,
When we got the original airplane, we didn't get any engines with it. It was fairly complete, although chopped up, but there was no engines or props.
have you found them now?
We have some now. Actually, we have 10 1820s. They're not all the right dash numbers, but the companies that rebuild them said try to get 12. So
What do you mean by 1820s? Is that the model
it's
of the
the
engine?
engine on a B-17 is a Curtiss-Wright 1820.
All right.
And the later B-17s used a Dash 97. So there's a lot of 1820s out there, but the B-17 one is a Dash 97.
Is there a large difference between horsepower or thrust?
Yes, a lot of differences with horsepower. I think if you look at the history of 1820s, I think they started out at 500 horsepower and they ended up at 1,400 horsepower. The
Wow.
B-17 version did about 1,200 horsepower.
Well, I wish you luck in finding those 1,200 horsepowers because that's a lot of aircraft to get off the ground for sure. Not that you're going to be, I don't think you're going to be delivering anything too much heavier than.
Hopefully not.
Do you have any kind of production schedule? How often do you
No.
work on this?
Nope. To really get a good schedule, you'd need regular funding. So we do things when we can. We are using all volunteers, so you never know who's showing up from day to day. So it's kind of a pretty loose schedule. We try to keep one person or one group on a particular item, so things move slowly because some only come once a week or twice a week. So then that piece only gets worked on, at that appropriate time. So no, at the moment we don't. We're trying to figure out how we can get a more efficient schedule and get it to go quicker. But the only thing we can see that's going to do that is a lot of funds.
So
How
I know that you talked to me, I think it was yesterday, and there were items that you needed to get made for the aircraft, and one company approached you, or you approached them, and you asked them if they could make it, and they said yes, but the cost was huge. I think it was something like $1 million just for one of these items. Could you elaborate on that?
From what we're told, yes, there was another plane that needed some spar tubes. Bill had searched for
Or you
nearly
approached them
about
and
12
you
years
asked them
before
if
we
they
even
could
found
make
a
it, and they said
company that
yes,
said they would
The
do it.
cost was huge. I
And
think it was
gonna
something like
be
$1
like
million
$1 million
just for one of
down.
these items. Could you elaborate?
And we had a quote of what they were supposed to be. But when another plane needed it, we gave them all the information and they went ahead with it. And they claimed that the first set cost $2 million. And then they did another small run of them to get the price down. But it's still, they're going to run about $100,000 a tube, and you need 8 tubes. So
Yeah.
that adds up.
So you have a place that people can make donations, correct? And
Yes.
I have the link, and I will put that on this page, and I'll also put it on our webpage. That's where people could buy merchandise from and look at some of the past shows. We are looking forward to hopefully helping you out in getting this aircraft aloft, airworthy and flyable.
need
Love
it.
to see
We
you
need-
fly it.
We need an angel or two.
Okay, well, maybe we'll find you one. Well, What else is going on with this aircraft? How far along are you?
Well, we have most of the fuselage done with the exception of some of the structure in the bomb bay, which is being worked on now. Um, Plating is what we're needing. These are new wing terminal plates.
Can you bring that up,
This is-
Malcolm, so that the audience can see that? Hold on one second. Our computer. You can put our computer up there.
Okay. These are terminal plates.
Oh.
And when they took the wings off of this one, instead of taking them off, they cut all these. So they just basically torched the wings off.
Well-
So then these are new manufacture.
Could you, hold them up there again, and I'm going to make this. There you go. Perfect. Very nice. Very nice. If anybody out there can help him out, finding somebody that can machine those at a reasonable cost, we would love to hear from you. You could either contact him, Michael, directly, or you could post something on our page, and we will follow up with you, and we will get in touch with Mike or his friend, his technology expert, Bill, who's provided us this connection today. And I don't see him over there, Bill. Where are you?
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, there you go. They're out in the barn with this aircraft, and they've got 200 feet of Ethernet cable attached to his computer, and it's functioning perfectly, gentlemen. Definitely perfectly. So-
That's good to hear.
So, how far into the donation market are you? Are you halfway, a third of the way, no way? Where are you?
Just barely off the ground.
Barely off the ground. Okay, well, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna put something up there. And do you have anything, any merch that you guys give for somebody making a donation, or it's strictly pay and hopefully you guys make the airplane fly?
Well, our goal is to get it to fly.
Okay.
We have T-shirts and
Do you have any handy?
Just a second.
There we go. His sidekick. Thank you so much. Well, while we're waiting for that, like I was mentioning, I have Jack Overfield here, and we were doing this documentary on B-17 Operation Chowhound. Do you have any questions for Mike, Jack?
Well, can you hear me okay?
yes, I can.
Hey, Mike, my hat's off to you. And if I had my cowboy hat close by here in College Station, Texas, I'd have it on. I'd tip it off right now to you. And it's good to see another platinum blonde on the screen. I just can't imagine a task like that. Have you contacted Fred? You might know the answer to this question. They used to be called the Confederate Air Force. The people that are based in Texas, in Harlingen or Montgomery County, wherever. And now what's it called? It's called something else now.
Commemorative.
Commemorative.
Have you contact? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, have y'all contacted any of those?
Yes, we
groups?
have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, Mike has been part of the B-17 consortium for decades, right?
Yes.
The co-op. And so, I think that's probably one of the first times I actually heard about Mike and his plane. And it was because of the collaboration that everybody was going through in order to keep their planes flying. So, we pretty much know everybody who has a 17, everybody who has some 17 parts.
That we know of. We're always hoping somebody will find a pile in a barn somewhere.
Well, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was up in Fort Worth Center. My wife and I went up there. Some SR-71 crew members were given a briefing there in a hangar for one of these outfits that flies these airplanes, and they had a B-17 in the hangar that they were close to completion on. And gosh, I haven't been up there, like I said, 7 years or so. But who originally built the B-17?
Boeing designed
Boeing.
it, and
Yeah.
Boeing built the early models. So ours is a Boeing-built airplane.
Right. Have you ever reached out to them?
Yes, actually, they reached out to us, and they had what they called a employee day, and they brought about 30 people out here.
Yep.
And so we were hoping that would go somewhere, they had one of their manufacturers that make parts for them contacted us, but we just haven't seemed to get anywhere with that yet.
Well, and this is just a thought. I'm sure you and Bill have had this thought. If contact could be made with a big time,
Go to a picture.
somebody with a big wallet.
Elon Musk.
Yeah. Of course, he's got some rocket launch sites here in Texas along the coast. You know, I don't know. I wouldn't. I'd reach out to him.
Yeah.
I'd reach
Hopefully
out to
that-
you for free, for nothing, but and just to be part of just being friends with you guys.
Yeah. Hopefully, hopefully you wouldn't want to make it electric.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Well, let me ask you something. Did it have a tail number on it when you found it?
Yes, the serial number is 412595.
Okay, because my friend Larry Billow, he flew tail number 46917, and it was had nose art on it called Leading Lady, and anyway, he flew with the 493rd Bombing Group 860 Bombing Squadron, and they got over there in Europe in the 1944, mid 1944, and they flew for a year till around July or August of 45. But he participated in Operation Chowhound on 2 days, in May 1st through May 7th, 1945, when B-17s dropped food and supplies into the people of Holland and or the Netherlands. And then he also they did missions over German targets too. But anyway, yeah, my hat's off. Y'all are amazing, man. I tell you what, and you got a lot of endurance too.
Yeah, you know, it's guys like you that keep our history alive, and nobody realizes how much work and effort it goes into making these products come back to life. This B-17 looks absolutely fabulous, and I can't wait to see the finished product on it. I just hope you get some people that will donate, some philanthropists come along and you know, make it come alive for you. So thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you guys being on our show, and it's been amazing having you, and we will get those shirts off to you as soon as we can. So yes, there's the t-shirt right there. That is fabulous to see. Go ahead and say something, Mike.
It makes you really appreciate the industrial might this country had. You know, as long as this is
Right.
taking, you know, back in the day, they built about 20 of these a day, and it's just unbelievable.
Well, I think you dropped off picture-wise, but anyway, thank you for being on, and we're going to go
Thank
right
you
back.
very much.
Yeah, we're going to come out of Zoom and go right back to our channel now. So,
Thank you very much.
and
for having us.
thank you, Jack, for being on and being a part of the show, because you're always welcome on this channel. So, I hope that you all enjoyed that little walk down B-17 Restoration Lane, and we're going to have their link for the donation on this page and also on our webpage. I'll probably put it on Facebook and Instagram, and please like, share if you can. $1, $10, $5, $5, no double, whatever you need. Help them out, because it's important to keep those historic, I want to say monuments actually, alive. I mean, they participated in the Berlin airlift, kept all those people in Germany alive, and now this Operation Chowhound, I didn't even know about until Jack mentioned it to me. That and what he did was he showed me a video that was on the World War II museum in New Orleans. I love that place. That is one of the best museums I've ever seen when it comes to talking about World War. But they hosted the 100th squadron out in New Orleans, and it was a reunion. And during that reunion, they showed this film for the first time on Operation Chowhound, and how the people would never have made it should these aircraft not drop this food out there. And they loved them to death. And their governor, their prime minister, whoever it was, he came and he gave them each a plaque commemorating that, and said that, you know, America is so welcome, Americans are so welcome there. And also the British had an operation going on at the same time called Operation Manna. But you'll hear all this on our future documentary Jack and I will be working on. And Fred, what else you got?
All right, as much as we've talked about history in the past, I wanted to bring up this, and it's Andrel. It's the Andrel Air Dominance Disruptor.
Is there a way we could flip that around?
And
Welcome.
it's being created by a young man, and I've said to Bob, he's going to be the next Elon Musk. I've been watching him for, I guess, the last 6 to 9 months, and the developments of his company. And he just did a merge with
Oh, well, never mind, Malcolm.
MITRE, and the concepts
With
that
better or better?
MITRE,
Better,
sorry.
yeah.
These new aircraft are going to be doing all his invention, and you'll have a group of these things fly with your fighter aircraft. They'll create links to the pilot in the live aircraft, and he'll be able to program these things to go out and run attacks or bombing of targets while he sits in his cockpit at 40,000 feet running the whole attack. They can have a program, and they maneuver. They can take evasive action. It's going to be very much how we'll be fighting battles and having less pilots and more targets. It will show what we can do with more metal up there and less pilots. It's going to be quite the way to go, and I'm very impressed with it. And over the next probably 5 years, it's going to be more and more a familiar name to see the things that they're developing to run against our enemies.
What did I say? This one. All right, well, it is an interesting article, and
Yeah.
this guy, you know, he's got huge potential. It's nice to see these geniuses coming to the surface, especially here in America. We definitely need to make sure that they have the ability to advance our technology, because we don't want to lag behind.
What's fascinating is his last name is Lucky. How appropriate.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say, I remember when William was talking about he had those 200 hours and he wanted to go fly that B-17 and how everybody laughed at him. Well, I remember when I applied the first time for the FAA, I was getting out of the Air Force, and I applied to Canada, Canadian Air Traffic Controllers. And the letter I sent, I gave them my list of jobs, and one of them was being a bagel baker back in New York. So I actually got a reply back, and the reply said, well, we don't have any air traffic control vacancies, but we do have a Morton's Donuts downstairs he can work at. So I feel his pain. I know exactly what's going on. But before we go, I was going to show you this quick little startup on this video of the full startup and takeoff of a B-17. It's kind of a neat little get-up. That's a beautiful sight, isn't it? You notice that guy standing there with the fire extinguisher, right? They're ready to rock and roll. Let's get this advanced a little further. We got it all lit up. And now he's taxiing. Man, that's amazing. You even got the gun turrets on and everything.
What's the name on that one? Can you
It
see?
is Sentimental Journey. Gonna take a sentimental journey.
You know where this is taken?
No, but you can see those open windows, and they were up there 29, 30,000 feet, I believe, right? I don't know what the
Yeah.
serviceable ceiling is on that aircraft. And with those open windows there, they certainly had to be on oxygen.
They would have masks on.
Yeah, and they were firing at the enemy. They would fly in a certain formation that they would be close to about 80% impervious to anybody coming around them. And look at this guy go. Getting that left rudder in there, stopping that P-torque. All right, Malcolm, back to us. Well, how about that? Huh? Isn't that a beautiful sight? One of those great old birds taking off like that. Wow, it's amazing. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm so glad that you were here. I hope that you found out some information, and I hope you help out Bill and Michael make their journey of the restoration of that B-17 come back to life. So from myself and
Fred Shuffler.
there you go. We hope to see you next week, and please send us messages on if you like this show, if there's anything. Oh, Fred's signaling. What you got?
Next week, we can't make it.
Oh yeah, that's right. So next week I'm going to be out of town. I will try to do a live broadcast from where I am. Whether I'm flying, I'll be out in Florida. I'm going to visit my mother out there, so I can't wait to do that. And Fred will be
In
up
Dallas.
in Dallas. It's Father's Day. Well, anyway, until then, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you thumbs up our videos, please, and make sure you let them at least play through 1 or 2 extra videos so we get our watch hours up. If you don't play through at least 2 or 3 of them, we don't get our watch hours, and we're almost at 1,000. We have to get to 4,000. So thank you again. We'll see you next time, and tell us what you liked and what you didn't like.